Honey? Yeah? I'm going to be making some noises like a zombie, but I'm not actually a zombie. Hello YouTube and welcome to the greatest science fiction cult in the world. We dominate YouTube, the globe, the galaxy and soon the Matrix. To my wonderful, wonderful cult members, thank you for the support. Without you, all of this means nothing. Welcome back. I love you all. My spoiler warning for this video is going to be very, very low indeed. There isn't a plot to spoil as such. There's no characters to follow. I'm not even sure what the difference between a spoiler review and a non-spoiler review of this book would actually look like, unless you didn't know about the zombies. World War Z. Haha, let's clear that up for a start. I'm English, and in my language, which is also called English, Z is pronounced Z, but I admit to referring to this book as World War Z because it's written by an American, it's from an American's point of view, so I have absolutely no problem calling it World War Z. 2006 by Max Brooks. It's technically a follow-up to his other book, The Zombie Survival Guide, which I haven't read, but I'm told by many people that the tone is so different, it's such a different reading experience, that World War Z can be regarded as a completely standalone book. My history with this novel is that I read it about a year after it was first published. It felt like everyone in the world was reading it at that time. It was so popular. The week that I actually read it, I had a very, very busy travelling schedule. Trains, planes and automobiles, so it was the perfect book to just keep dipping into. This time I listened to the audiobook, which has a full cast recording, including some famous people like Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, John Turturro, he's in a lot of Coen Brothers films. It's a book that is really, really well suited to the audio experience because it's a lot of taped interviews. So you really need that back and forth. Just a quick note about the film starring my doppelganger, Brad Pitt. I have seen it. I thought it was okay. Nothing special. It's an alright film. I don't require adaptations to be just like the book, but I would really love to see an interview style movie of the book. I would love to see a shot-for-shot remake of this. I think that would be really interesting, but we're not going to get that, are we? The plot, or to be more exact, the structure of this book, is taking place about 10 years after the end of an event called the Zombie War, World War Z. The war itself, or the plague of zombies, lasted for about 10 years. So we're about 20 years after the initial outbreak. I think it's supposed to be a fictional version of Max Brooks himself, working for the United Nations, travelling all around the world, interviewing different people, so he can piece together a global perspective of the war. We know right at the beginning of the book that the humans have won the war. Well, there are still zombies around, aren't there? There are still some hiding and underwater and in different places, but we're not actively fighting them anymore. The whole thing is contained. So this reads like a debriefing, like a rough edit of a non-fiction history book, kind of. And although it does feel like we are jumping around quite a bit, none of the interviews last that long, and there are quite a few of them, there is still a basic linear narrative of the timeline of the war. I found this style of writing to be very, very accessible. It almost felt like cheating, but it absolutely works for this book. And I think Max Brooks does some really interesting things with that framing device. It's just very hard to judge a book like this, or at least it's a challenge to compare it to a traditional novel. But I do appreciate the bending of the rules. I don't think I've read anything quite like this. I must have read something like this. It's just I can't think of anything right now. So instead of the usual character development and world building as we know it, we get short personal stories from people that were actually there. People that survived to tell the tale. That's a structure that I thought would be quite restrictive, because you're always just interviewing someone and they're always just talking about something that happened 10 or 15 years ago. But actually, it allows you to create any character to interview, and they can have all sorts of adventures that happened back then, and none of them have to really link up other than the fact that they all took place in the zombie war. So it's actually given you quite a lot of freedom with the writing. The building of the momentum of the story, or getting to know these characters and earning that emotional impact from them, all of that is just shortcut, because these people just come right out and tell us. That's why this interview technique works so well. Max Brooks tells us who they are, and then he just asks them a question that gets right to the heart of the matter. So your name is Moid Moidelhoff? Yes, Max, that's correct. And you single-handedly killed 600 zombies just to protect your whiskey stash? Yep, I figured if humanity survives the zombie apocalypse, we're gonna need a drink. So you did this for humanity. It's a gift for the whole world. Whoa, no, it's not a gift as such. It's still my whiskey. I need it. I was very brave, you know. Write that down, Max. You also wanted me to write down that you look like Brad Pitt. Oh, thank you, Max. Thank you.
Hello, Moid of the Future here. Thank you for tuning into one of our archive videos, which was recorded many moons ago. Media Death Cult has evolved a lot over the years, so be sure to check out the more recent projects on the channel. You can support what we do here by grabbing yourself a t-shirt or a mug at the merch store, using Buy Me a Coffee, which is an online tipping service, or you can actually join the cult on Patreon and gain access to our exclusive Discord server, the best read-alongs in the galaxy, and the podcast, Radio Death Cult. Links to all that good stuff in the description of this video. Thank you so much. Peace!
Crucially, the interviews do conjure up some dramatic images and set pieces. They are essentially two people sitting in a room talking to each other, or people talking on the phone about something that happened over 10 years ago, but every time you do get transported back to World War Z. Some of the highlights were the Battle of Yonkers, where a military platoon gets completely overwhelmed by thousands and thousands of zombies in New York City, live on TV. There's a story about a family that decides to head north to Alaska or Canada or somewhere to escape the wave of zombies, and that one's got a completely different vibe. It's not really about zombies running around killing each other. It's more about survival of people in harsh conditions. It's more about the humanity. I love the one about the pilot who crash landed in the desert and she was guided back to safety by someone on her radio. That one definitely had a twist ending as well. I didn't see that coming. And the one about the Japanese guy, or is it a Korean guy? It might be a guy in South Korea who is forced to leave his apartment eventually because he runs out of not food, the internet goes down and he has to leave his apartment and go out into the real world. That's not talking about zombies right there. I think all of the interviews had a subtext about us, about humanity in general, and it's an opportunity to explore or comment about a world-changing event from many different perspectives: rich, poor, civilian, government, all the different countries, and all seemingly impartial. And Max Brooks definitely puts the boot in and lays a lot of the blame of the poor handling of the war firmly at the feet of bureaucracy and greed. And once again, he's just not talking about a fictional zombie war there, is he? I'm not really a fan of the zombie genre. I find it a little bit dull, but I'm starting to realise that it's a really good backdrop to tell other stories. Shaun of the Dead is one of my favourite films of all time. I barely noticed the zombies. It's just a great British dry humoured comedy with zombies. 28 Days Later and The Day of the Triffids, that kind of thing, I find utterly fascinating. But it's the isolation and the reaction of the people that I find interesting. And although I couldn't get past a couple of episodes of The Walking Dead, I know it's hugely popular, especially the first 27 seasons or whatever it is. But I hear through the grapevine that it's the conflict between the survivors that's compelling and not the actual zombies. Am I just pointing out something that's really obvious to everyone else? That's the point of zombies. It's the reaction, not the actual zombies. It's a bit like Jaws. It's not really about the shark. It's about everything that swirls around the shark. It is, isn't it? I feel a bit silly now. Max Brooks definitely gets it. I really like this book. It refers to zombies on pretty much every page, but when I think about World War Z, I just don't see them. In conclusion, on the one hand, this does feel like a bit of a gimmick, but on the other hand, gimmicks can be so much fucking fun. No, it's not Moby Dick, it's not Frankenstein, but I need to stop being such a snob and give this book the credit that it deserves. I think this is exactly what was intended, and it's just a fun romp of a novel with a heart. It does have something to say. I'm not saying that every book could be improved if they were rewritten in interview style structure. I'm not saying that at all. I love literature. I like a heavy use of language. I don't think plot and scenery and world building are that important when the language is beautiful. I am saying though that for this type of book it works really well, and I don't think I would have been that interested in a book about zombies taking over the world. Again, it's not a genre thing. I'll read anything, but all of the components came together perfectly to make World War Z, and for what it is, I think it's awesome. I'm feeling a nice, fat, juicy 8, and maybe I am still a little bit too snobby to go any higher than that. I'm not sure why, but it's a big old 8. I don't think you can go into the 9 or the 10 because of the style. There is something lacking, but not while you're reading it. You're not missing a certain type of language while you're reading that style of book. It all works. I think I've said that several times over in several different ways now. It works for this book. Bravo. Did you love World War Z? I know there's loads of you out there that absolutely love this book. Did you hate World War Z? I think there are a few people that just didn't like this style either. I want to hear from you as well. Or are you somewhere here in the middle that didn't really like it and don't really care, and your opinion is a little bit bland and boring? Let us know in the comments, please.